A single quiet sentence whispered at his front door changed the entire course of Ethan Miller's life. Ethan, a humble single dad already carrying the weight of heartbreak and responsibility, opened the door, expecting to meet the woman who was supposed to be just another blind date. Welcome back to my channel, Classic Stories. If you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Now let's dive into the story. But when she looked up with trembling lips and confessed, "My kids are in the car," Ethan froze. In that single moment, he realized this wasn't just two strangers meeting for dinner. It was about two broken families searching for something they didn't even know they were missing. And what happened next? No one could have predicted it. Ethan adjusted his shirt for the third time. He had almost canceled this date 3 times, telling himself he simply didn't have the energy for someone new. Most nights were a blur of juggling bedtime stories, school projects, and late-night worries about bills. Being a single dad had taught him resilience, but it had also made him fiercely guarded. Still, his best friend convinced him to take a chance, reminding him that maybe he deserved to be more than just dad. Every once in a while, when the knock came, his pulse quickened. He opened the door, expecting a polite smile and nervous small talk. Instead, he saw a woman, her auburn hair tied back in a messy bun, her eyes betraying exhaustion beneath the surface. She clutched her purse tightly, as if it held the last pieces of her life. Then, in a voice so soft it felt like a confession, she whispered, "My kids are in the car." For a moment, Ethan was frozen. He understood that. He understood showing up somewhere not just as yourself, but as a guardian of little hearts. He finally found his voice, nodding gently. "Bring them in," he said, stepping aside. She hesitated, searching his face for judgment, but found none. A few minutes later, 2 small figures appeared, one clinging to her leg, the other carrying a worn-out stuffed bunny. Ethan's own daughter, Emma, peeked from the hallway. Curious. Just like that, the blind date wasn't about 2 people. It was about 4 children and 2 weary souls standing in the doorway of possibility. The dinner was nothing like the evening Ethan had imagined. Instead of candlelight and adult conversation, it was chicken nuggets on mismatched plates, and kids giggling over who could make the loudest silly sound. Yet somehow it was perfect. He saw her eyes soften as Emma shared her crayons. He saw the way her young son leaned against her arm as if he had carried too much for his age. Ethan couldn't remember the last time he had truly laughed. Later that night, after the children had fallen asleep in the living room, she told him her story. Her name was Brooke, and she had walked away from a marriage filled with promises that turned into betrayals. She had left with nothing but her children and the will to survive. "I didn't think I'd even make it here tonight," she admitted, her voice cracking, "but something told me I had to try." Ethan understood that too well. He remembered the nights he had sat by Emma's bed after her mother walked away, whispering that everything would be okay, even when he wasn't sure. He looked at Brooke and saw not weakness, but a raw, quiet strength. They didn't rush into romance. What grew between them was slower, deeper. They began seeing each other again, always with the kids in tow. Playdates turned into picnics. Picnics turned into evenings where 4 children fell asleep on the couch, while 2 adults learned how to laugh again. It wasn't easy. There were nights when Brooke's past fears made her push him away, and days when Ethan worried he was failing as both a father and a partner. But every time, they came back to one simple truth. They understood each other's struggles without explanation. They knew what it meant to fight for the tiny lives looking up at them. Months later, as autumn leaves scattered across the ground, Ethan found himself standing in the very doorway where everything began. This time, Brooke wasn't whispering fearfully. She stood beside him, her hand linked with his, as 4 kids ran inside, laughing and shouting about snacks. He looked at her, and she smiled, a smile filled with gratitude and hope. He realized then that life rarely gives second chances wrapped in perfection. Sometimes it comes in whispers at your door, in tired eyes and shaky voices. And sometimes, if you're brave enough to open your heart, you discover that love isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up again and again for the people who need you most. Their story didn't end with a fairy tale kiss under twinkling lights. It began with chaos, with kids and crayons, with 2 single parents who thought they were broken. and it blossomed into a family stitched together not by chance, but by choice. Because sometimes the most powerful words aren't, "I love you." Sometimes they're simply, "Bring them in,